Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, fam. This your brother, Mr. Holipsism. I know I haven't done one of these in a while. Um, to be honest with you, I just my spirit has been weary and I've been vexed just by my people in general. I don't mean to sound tragic, but that's basically it. A lot of personal stuff going on and just, you know, getting 1,000 trillion different excuses as to why black folks in America and in the diaspora shouldn't have a nation of their own. And there's a lot of stalling tactics and stuff that people come up with to justify staying in this country. But one of the ones that I felt I needed to explain, because a lot of people that I respect were questioning me about this, and I figured that I needed to clarify and give what I feel on the subject and break it down so that people can have an idea of where I'm coming from. Because when you speak a certain way that's against the grain of what you normally hear, people automatically make assumptions and think that you're something that you're not. It's a lot of buzzwords within the so-called conscious community, and just in general conversation, there's buzzwords that once you say something, people react to that buzzword, and then they Star Trek shields go up, and there's no listening, there's no trying to understand, they just become emotional. So I wanted to explain what my take is on spirituality, because I always get asked this, and it's usually, well, you know what? Let me not do that. I don't want to pigeonhole everybody, because like I said, some of the people that ask me this I respect, and some people are just, I consider just conscious community clowns. So I'm not gonna attack anybody. I'll just say what I feel. Um, I got a question when it comes to spirituality. How do you denounce something that is innate and intangible, but makes up the core of who and what you are? In other words, how does a fish denounce water? The reason why I ask that question is because I've been asked, well, what about spirituality? Spirituality isn't something you purchase in a store or wear on a necklace. Spirituality is innate within us and expressed by what you do. I've always heard people say that the reason human beings exist in the first place is so that God, quote unquote God, the spirit or the intangible, can live and express itself through us, the body, the physical, the tangible, the concrete. If this is so, because you hear that in a lot of these new age religions, and I can buy that. If this is so, then the only way spirituality can be expressed is through us and by our actions. Now, I did want to point out something, because this is very important. Everybody wants to go, talk about African spirituality. Uh, Africans had the fertile soil by the Nile to provide food and a better quality of life. So basically, before they got into the lotus position and became one with the universe, they had food, clothing, and shelter. The basic necessities of life taken care of. So when people ask, well, what about spirituality? My answer is always, well, what are you doing? How are you expressing your spirituality? This is why holding sage in front of a bunch of racist animals and thinking it is going to affect a damn thing is foolish to me. I'm sorry. Oh, and one more thing. I want to address the Haitian Revolution, because that always comes up when people start talking about spirituality. If the Haitians just used voodoo and didn't actually fight and kill their enemies, what do you think would have happened? You know, so if the sister wanted to burn some sage and that was a part of some ritual before some type of action took place, then burn away. But we all know that wasn't the purpose. The purpose was to clear the negative energy, quote unquote, out of the area. But funny, I still see riot gear and racist cops. Go figure. So there goes the clearing out the negative energy. I want to give you a quote from a brother, Heru King. This is what he stated in a post. He said, African spirituality, not pseudo-European, occult, esoteric, metaphysical nonsense, is about being in tune with nature. Nature will never lie to you. Nature will always tell you the truth. Nature will always tell you to separate from your enemy and kill your enemy if they are trying to kill you. Nature will always tell you to build for your own and to protect your own. Nature will never tell you to love your enemy or integrate with your enemy. Nature will never tell you to turn the other cheek and allow others to abuse you. The reason why voodoo was successful for the Haitians was because nature told them to fight and kill the cracker and separate from them. And then nature told the Haitians to have their own land and nation. That's true African spirituality. Everything else is just pseudo spirituality that will keep the people crippled and oppressed. Boom. I agree 1,000%. Everything has a time and a place. That's what we have to learn. We don't use gasoline to put out fires. We don't use water to stop flooding. If a crime is committed, we don't call the fire department. And if we have a fire, we don't call the police. That is my point. If we put 1/4 of our energy into actual physical work towards our goals, as we do in fucking Sage, can you imagine how much progress we would make? But there I go again, guilty of using the word we, when I've stated many times that there is no we, there is no us, there is no our on a socioeconomic and political level. My bad. So, in conclusion, my position is that by not obtaining land, not building infrastructure, and not establishing a nation for our people, we are not practicing African spirituality. Dr. Amos Wilson said, what makes something African culture is when it works in the interests of African people. Let me say that again, because I've said that multiple times, but I don't think people really truly understand what that means. What makes something African culture is when it works in the interest of African people. If you understand culture in that sense, then we don't have to have a lot of these discussions that we have. See, this is the reason why I'm not married to rituals. I'm not married to traditions. I'm not married to ancient practices, unless those rituals, those traditions, and those ancient practices produce tangible and concrete results right here, right now. If not, then African spirituality is no different than Christian religion to me. Yet another attempt by middlemen to try and distract you and make you think you have to go somewhere to find spirituality, instead of expressing this spirituality inside of you by your actions and doing tangible and concrete things in this world and in this reality right now. That's why I always love this quote by Malcolm X. And listen to what he's saying, because it's really no different than what I'm saying. And I'll leave y'all with that, because I'll put the exclamation point on it with Malcolm. There's no need for me to say anything else. But listen to his words and listen to what he's saying. Okay? And I'll holler at you good people later. Peace.
We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.